A new development now in the search for a woman missing in California, a Vancouver woman. The LAPD has released bizarre surveillance footage of 21-year-old Elisa Lam.
21-year-old Elisa Lam went missing on January 31st. She'd been staying at the Cecil. This surveillance video shows the UBC student acting strangely the night she went missing. Once again, the LAPD saying the body has just been removed.
The coroner now has it. So at this point, it's the coroner's case until the person's identified and we know the cause.
Police are showing us now basically because they're at a standstill in this case.
Just a warning to our viewers at home. The footage you are about to see is extremely disturbing.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Common Anomaly podcast. Today, we're talking about the Elisa Lam case. It's a really interesting cold case file, I guess one of the most compelling unsolved mysteries of the 21st century. I, of course, am your host today, Stuart James. Joining me today, Clayton James. How's it going, brother?
It's going good today.
Well, I'm really excited for this topic. This is going to be an interesting one. I think we're going to have no time or no problem filling an hour.
Yeah, you said it's an unsolved mystery. Officially this case has been closed. It's been solved. But
officially,
I think in the court of public opinion, I don't think this one will ever be solved.
Maybe a better term would be most talked about.
Yeah,
it's definitely a compelling case. There's a lot of high strangeness, I guess I'll say, that connects to it, and I guess that's what keeps people doubting the official narrative of what happened. But yeah, we're going to get into it. We're going to get right into it. But just before we do, I think this particular case, this topic, I think is worthy of a bit of a PSA/trigger warning for our audience. Don't you think?
Yeah, we're going to talk about some, upsetting, unsettling, disturbing things in this episode, and we're definitely going to try to be respectful. This is a case that happened somewhat recently, 2013. This is a real person that had something really horrible happen to them.
Yeah,
and
tragic.
Yeah, and we're of course gonna explore a lot of the. We're gonna do a lot of, I guess, esoteric dot connecting here.
I mean, our show is what it is. We're gonna explore the high strangeness aspects of this. We're gonna dig into the weeds a lot, right? But none of that is with the intention of disgracing the memory of this poor young woman who lost her life under tragic circumstances, and of course, she's got family surviving out there today.
Yeah.
So we want to always keep it within that. Within that realm of we're being respectful of her memory, but we're gonna tease apart all the facets of this that we can find, because there is a lot of interesting, compelling stuff to dig into.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that covers it. Yeah, not for the faint of heart. There's definitely some gory details, so maybe not for children, or if you're triggered by discussions of topics like murder and mental illness and unfortunate deaths. But let's get into it. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that will be familiar with this case. It's very famous. But when you first mentioned it to me, I did not quickly ring a bell for me. So why don't we go over exactly the series of events of Elisa Lam and how she met her unfortunate end and why it's so compelling.
Okay. Would you like me to start with that?
Sure. Yeah, if you're good.
Yeah, absolutely. Elisa Lam, she was born on April 30th, 1991 in Vancouver. She was the child of immigrants from Hong Kong. She was 21 at the time of the events we're about to discuss. She had been attending the University of British Columbia. She was on a bit of a break. She was taking some time off from school. She had recently been diagnosed with depression and bipolar disorder.
That's right.
So she was struggling with that. She was very heavily medicated for this. She was on a combination of Wellbutrin, lamotrigine, Seroquel, and Effexor. But she was managing. This was new for her, but she was managing. She decided she was going to take a solo trip down to California. to her friends, and on her blog, she also had a Tumblr blog.
Yep.
She called it
Ether Fields.
Sorry?
Ether Fields.
That's not the name I have. I have it titled as Nouvelle Nouveau.
Oh, no, that was a new one she was going to start. But I don't think she ever started it. Or maybe it was a rename.
Maybe.
But
maybe.
I actually read a bunch of her. It's under Ether Fields.
Okay.
Her Tumblr. Yeah.
Anyway, to her friends, and on her blog, she was referring to this as her West Coast tour. Her big solo adventure, and she
a bit of a soul-searching journey.
Yeah, absolutely, and a lot of people do that. At that time of their lives, they'll travel and
find themselves.
Yes,
so
that's
to speak.
The phrase. Anyway, so she started this journey in January of 2013. She started in San Diego and then eventually made her way to Los Angeles and checked into the Cecil Hotel, which is not the nicest place in the world, but I imagine she was trying to save some money and stretch out what she had as long as she could. Yeah,
that was something for me right away where I was like, okay, just why was she staying like right next to, like right on Skid Row? And it had to just be affordability, a student traveling alone. Yeah. That's the only thing I could come to. I couldn't find any other explanation of why she'd be there. I'm assuming it was affordability.
Yeah. Anyway, her parents were not the happiest that she was going on this trip. They were very worried about her, but she promised she'd phone them
every day.
Yeah. Which she did. But then on January 31st, the phone calls stopped. And her parents became very concerned after a couple of days of not hearing from her.
Yeah.
And she was reported missing on February 1st. They called to the hotel. The hotel says she's not here. She never checked out, but she's not here. We have all her stuff.
Yeah.
Her parents report her missing to the LAPD.
Immediately a missing person case. Yeah.
Yeah. An investigation starts. They, distribute flyers around the area with her picture. No one has any information. And then on February the 6th, the police searched the hotel with sniffer dogs and everything. They searched the whole hotel. There's no sign of her. The sniffer dogs, they don't find anything. Then on February 14th, the case has kind of hit a dead end.
Yep.
No one's come forward with any information. She's been missing for a while now. The police released this CCTV footage to the public, which is kind of the last time she's captured on video. And it's some very bizarre footage. And this got the case a lot of attention.
Yeah. And arguably why it's still so talked about today. The biggest piece of evidence in this case is the elevator footage.
Yeah. So she is seen getting onto an elevator and behaving very oddly.
Yeah.
She kind of leans down and presses every button on the elevator. And then she kind of squeezes into a corner of the elevator like she's hiding.
Yeah.
And then she pokes her head out, looks around.
Looks both sides like she's looking for someone down the hall or something.
Gets back in the elevator, pushes all the buttons again, gets out, turns to the side, and starts gesturing in a really unsettling way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It looks for a while as if she's speaking to someone that's not visible in the frame.
Yeah.
But she's moving
or
her
someone
hands.
Just outside of the elevator doorway.
She's moving her hands in what people often describe as a very unnatural looking way.
There was some speculation, I guess, that she may be double jointed just because the wrist movements are so kind of bizarre and eerie, like you say.
She looks, quite frankly, she looks like a person that's being possessed, almost. A lot of people make that comment.
Yeah, it's very odd.
Yeah, it's very odd.
And it's an elevator, camera.
Yeah.
It's not the highest resolution or anything. But yeah, it is kind of odd, and to me, it almost looks like her fingers are oddly long.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Like, I watched this piece of footage dozens and dozens and dozens of time over the past week in preparation for this episode, and I kept fixating on that when she's moving her
fingers
hands. It looks weird. As if her fingers have elongated.
Yeah, it's really freaky, and that could just be like camera pixelation weirdness.
I even had AI analyze stills of
course
this
she did.
video.
Of course you
and
did.
said, "What is this? Why do her fingers look so long? What's going on here?"
Did you get anything out of that?
AI said that's most likely a result. It did agree. Her fingers look extremely elongated.
Yeah.
It's a most likely result of the low image resolution of the camera, the low frame rate of the camera, causing her fingers to look like they're trailing.
Yeah. Right.
And just the lighting in general. But yeah, it is the whole effect is very unsettling.
Yeah. Okay. But that aside, we don't really see anything. She's acting very oddly in an elevator on this footage. But then she walks away, and we don't know what happens to her.
Yeah, and then she wanders off down the corridor. The elevator door closes, reopens on another floor,
and she's missing.
And that's the end of the
she's
footage.
Just missing.
And that's the last she's seen. But this footage got a lot of attention, especially online, just because it's so
bizarre. Yeah,
like it's kind of like that audio recording you played from Montauk.
Yeah,
where you see it, or in that case of that audio recording, you listen to it and you're like, "What is this?"
Yeah, why would someone make such a thing? Yeah. It's just odd.
I actually that is where I first started following this case, because I saw that footage when it was first released, and I remember thinking, what is this? Yeah,
I remember back from, like, the name, when you suggested we talk about this, her name didn't trigger my memory, but then as soon as I looked it up and like, oh yeah, the elevator footage, I knew exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But then where does the story go? So she's missing. We have no idea what's happened to her. We've got this odd elevator footage. And then complaints start coming from the hotel residents about the water tasting funny.
Yeah, so between February 14th and 19th, the guests of the hotel start complaining that they're getting low water pressure from the taps.
There's black water coming out.
Yeah, the water's discolored, brown, sometimes even black. Yeah. And it's got a foul taste and odor. I do not know why you drink water if it came out and it was black.
Oh man, yeah.
But they say it tastes really bad. Yeah. Something's wrong with the water. So eventually the hotel management, they send up a maintenance person to the roof, and discovered in one of the rooftop water tanks is a body floating in one of them.
Yeah.
It's been decomposing for a
couple
while.
Weeks. Yeah.
And it takes a couple of days to confirm, but this is the body of Elisa Lam. She's been up in the rooftop water tank the whole time for about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So a lot of questions begin being asked. How did she get there?
Yeah. Well, and the coroner's report, they discovered, I've got the toxicology report here. Obviously, there was medications found in her system, some prescribed, and others in much lower doses that she was prescribed, but that were absent.
Yeah,
so the running theory, and there's no evidence of foul play from what they could tell of her body.
Yeah, there's no sign of trauma or assault, sexual or otherwise. No. There's no like illicit substances in her system.
Yeah, she wasn't drunk. She wasn't high on anything. Yeah.
There was like a minute amount of alcohol in her system, but like it wasn't much.
Yeah.
And the drugs she was prescribed, but what they found was the amounts were not what they expected. So it's theorized that while she was still taking her medication to manage her bipolar disorder, she wasn't taking it necessarily properly.
Yeah. Or that she had, sometimes when people are depressed, they might stop taking their medication. And I know some of these medications, they're not easy to go off of. No. And they can cause serious side effects if you're taking them regularly and then stop.
And I mean, I can speak to that personally. Self-disclosure. I was prescribed a drug called Paxil for a number of years when I was younger to manage obsessive compulsive disorder.
Right.
And this drug, Paxil, it's no longer very often prescribed.
Right.
Apparently, it's a very dangerous drug, so it's a good thing I'm not on it anymore.
Yeah.
But I
think that can be said about a lot of these.
Yeah.
These antipsychotics and stuff.
But I remember like going off of Paxil It was one of the hardest things I'd ever done. I felt like a complete wreck while I was trying to come off of it.
Yeah.
And it leaves you with withdrawals for weeks, months, even years.
Yeah.
And just these kind of drugs, they're very dangerous to not take properly.
Yeah. So all that being said, to drive home to the ultimate conclusion of the LAPD and the coroner's office that this was an accidental death, she had bipolar disorder, she maybe went off of her medication when she shouldn't have, had a psychotic break, and found herself hallucinating, perhaps found her way to the roof and accidentally drowned in the cistern.
Yeah.
So it's officially ruled as an accidental death.
Yeah, and then so it's official, case closed.
Yeah.
But so many unanswered questions.
Yes.
Starting right from the coroner's report.
Yeah.
Because the coroner's report, even as it's written, the cause of death, unknown. Unknown is crossed out, and underneath is written, accidental drowning.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Which is strange, right?
Yeah.
Because it does seem, on face value, when I first started digging into this, I thought, this does kind of seem open and shut. That does seem very logical on the surface. Mm-hmm. People have psychotic breaks. One of the first things I tried to research is how functional can a person be during a psychotic break? Are they capable of performing complex tasks? Like getting up onto a roof, climbing a ladder,
And that would not have been easy.
It would have not have been easy, but it is definitely accomplishable for someone in that state.
So the initial question was asked, how did she even get up onto the roof? Why did she have roof access? Because the stairwell to the roof, where the water tank is, it is locked with a passcode, and it's alarmed. So guests of the hotel can't get up there without setting off alarms. The only way to get onto the roof, there is a secondary way to get onto the roof, which is up the fire escape. It was later found that this is a common problem. When they do maintenance checks on the roof, they find all sorts of graffiti. Sometimes they find people just hanging out up there.
Yeah,
people go up there to take photos. It apparently has a great view of Los Angeles.
Yeah. And I even found I didn't flag it for reference, but I did find a YouTuber that after the case became famous went to the Cecil and was able to get onto he was testing the theory, how hard would it be to get up? And he was able to get up on the roof, without alerting hotel staff, no problem. And even found that a couple of the hatches to the water tanks were left open.
Yeah.
So it's not so bizarre. And I don't like that argument that she wouldn't have been able to get up there without someone noticing or alerting the hotel staff. I think that was more just to take any kind of liability away from the hotel, to be honest.
Yeah, so there's a lot of questions about these water tanks and the hatches on them.
Yeah.
And how she could have opened one of these hatches. They're quite heavy.
Yeah.
They're like 20, 30 pounds. And Elisa Lam, she's not a very big woman.
No.
She's very, very small, very light. Probably doesn't have the most strength. It would have been extremely difficult for her to lift one of these latches. And there's there's a lot of conflicting reports about how the hatches were found when they discovered the body, because the initial police report seemed to indicate that the maintenance person opened all these hatches to inspect them. They were all closed. And then the question, because if she got into the tank herself, how could she have closed the latch behind her? She wouldn't have had the reach to do that.
That's right. Yeah.
And that became a big question.
Yeah.
But it kind of conflicts because there was a civil suit that came after this was all said and done.
Yeah.
The parents
sued the hotel. Yeah.
And several depositions were taken for this civil suit. The lead investigator, the lead LAPD investigator, Detective Wallace Tennell, he was deposed during the civil suit. And he stated that when the maintenance person found the hatches, what he reported to the police was that one of the hatches was already open.
Yeah.
So you got two contradictory reports there. Was the hatch closed or was it open?
And
it's still unclear.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever know the answer to
unclear.
that. Yeah, it's unclear. And I mean, obviously, it seems like they could be left open because shortly after this case, a random YouTuber, went to investigate and found the hatches left open on some of the tanks. So it's reasonable to assume that they could have been open. Again, that's a big question that we just don't know the answer to. If she got herself in, how could she have closed the hatch behind her if that was indeed the case? And of course, there's implications to why hotel staff might not be totally forthcoming about how they found the tank.
Because you think if the maintenance person reports the hatch was closed, I opened all of them to check. I mean, is that the hotel saying just say that? Because you think you're leaving the hatch is open, the hotel's water supply is open to the open air.
Yeah.
Does nobody check on that periodically?
Totally. Yeah. Anything could get in there.
Is that even secured in any way?
Yeah.
It looks like, even aside from Elisa Lam, just on its own, that being left open and no one noticing it for 3 weeks.
Totally.
It's extreme negligence on the part of the hotel.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, there would have been a motivation for the hotel to lie about that.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Okay. But there's a lot of other strange stuff about the hotel itself. Should we talk about the graffiti? You mentioned the graffiti really quick. So this is the first thing that drew an ire for me of could there be foul play involved?
Yeah.
So there was graffiti found on the roof. I don't have it here exactly what it read, but it was written in Piggish Latin.
Yeah.
Again, odd. I'm not sure how many of the residents of the Cecil and Skid Row are familiar with Piggish Latin, but it translated loosely to "I'm finished with her," and it appeared to be fresh. Mm-hmm. So you could surmise that that's a reference to murder and perhaps some kind of occult ritual.
Yeah,
perhaps, which it wouldn't be entirely strange in the historical context of the Cecil Hotel. There's been a lot of dark stuff that's happened in that hotel.
Yeah, so, I mean, we can talk about the Cecil Hotel briefly. I mean, so the Cecil Hotel, it was originally opened in, what was the year here? It was in the 1920s. 1924. Yes, 1924, the hotel opened. And it was meant to be kind of a grand upscale hotel.
Yeah.
It's on Main Street. Main Street was it was a bustling, affluent area at the time. And this hotel was meant as a place for wealthy business travelers. They could have easy access to downtown on their business travels. It was a luxury hotel. But then, and it was very successful for a few years. But then what happens a few years later?
The Great Depression.
The Great Depression, and the hotel kind of becomes enveloped by this ever-expanding Skid Row.
Yeah.
Which is, if you're not familiar with Skid Row, it is, I want to say, almost the dumping ground of all the people society doesn't want within Los Angeles.
Right, yeah.
It's,
a lot of homeless, a lot of drug use. Yeah.
Yeah. It's high crime, high drug use, violent crime, prostitution, all of it. And that goes back to like the 1800s. Because of its proximity to the rail yards, it was kind of a stopping point for all sorts of transient people. But, Great Depression hits, this area just expands and envelops the whole area around the Cecil Hotel. And the hotel just falls into disrepair, and lots of bad stuff happens there. There's multiple murders within the hotel, multiple suicides, several serial killers were staying at the hotel while they were doing what they were doing.
Yeah.
Richard Ramirez, commonly referred to as the Night Stalker.
Yeah.
He was living at this hotel while he was actively a serial killer.
Yeah.
There's even stories of him like coming back to his room in the hotel, and he would strip off all his bloody clothes and dump them in the dumpster behind the hotel, and he'd walk back up to his room in his underwear covered in blood.
Yeah.
And these were just the kind of scenes that played out at the Cecil Hotel. It's not a nice
he was
place.
an avowed Satanist.
Yeah.
You know, and apparently there's a ritualistic aspect to these murders. So yeah, some people have. There's definitely been the online speculation that she was killed by the ghost of Richard Ramirez. There's a key problem with that theory.
Richard Ramirez was still alive.
He was still alive. He was in jail.
Yeah, he died in 2016?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So unless there's some kind of weird temporal retroactive something going on.
Well, there's a lot of weird stuff going on with this case that we'll continue to get into, because the more you get into it, the more you're like, something weird is going on with this. It's just weird, right? But I will remind people, like, we're getting into highly speculative theories here, right? And it's like, the graffiti, it makes you raise an eyebrow. Like, could she have been murdered? Could this have been foul play? But again, no signs of struggle, no signs of assault, no fingerprints, no DNA. So it's like, where's the evidence? Yeah. And the other weird thing about the graffiti that just came up just briefly, her blog on Tumblr, it kept posting updates for months after she had died.
Yeah. Another strange point. Yeah.
It's a little unclear why it's theorized these were like pre-scheduled posts.
But you don't have months worth of posts.
Sorry?
But you don't have months worth of posts scheduled in advance.
Yeah, that's kind of strange.
Right?
The other theory is like someone hacked into this account after she had died. But it's interesting. I believe it was February 2nd. So a day after Elisa Lam is believed would have died. A post is made on her blog that seems it's a quote. I'm not going to read it because it's got language that would maybe not be so nice for the show. But this quote seems to make reference to some of the graffiti that is on the water tank she was found in.
Right.
I read that and I was like, it's almost like she's trying to tell us where she is.
Yeah, from beyond the grave. Yeah. It's very odd. And it's like, you could think, well, obviously she was on that roof at some point, right? Yeah. So she could have been on the roof, seen the graffiti, wrote a blog post, and then fell in the tank and drowned. Yeah. But how weird would that be?
Very strange. Now,
very strange.
And considering, back to what you were originally talking about, like how do you get onto this roof? You have to go out a window and to gain access to the fire escape. You've got to climb up the fire escape, and then to access the water tanks, you have to climb another ladder onto a platform.
Yeah, that's a good 15 feet tall or something like that.
And then climb another ladder onto the water tank itself. This ladder on the water tank, there's a lot of speculation about that too, because there's reports that there was no fixed ladder attached to any of these water tanks. They had to bring in a ladder whenever they needed to access it, and that ladder was absent when they found the body. And there's some reports saying no, there was a fixed ladder there that she must have used. Conflicting reports of this very basic seeming detail.
Right.
There's so many conflicting reports of it, which is
I didn't specifically note that, but I feel like I saw crime scene reports on another video I watched about it, where there was photos from the roof during the investigation, and there was a fixed ladder.
Yeah.
I feel like. Don't quote me 100% on that.
But anyway, so you gotta go through a window, up the fire escape, up 2 ladders, remove this. Might have been open already, but potentially have to move this really heavy hatch. How possible is that for someone in the throes of a psychotic break?
Yeah,
because you were kind of stating that, and I really wanted to hear what you came up with.
What I came up with is it's definitely possible. I think it's 100% possible that she could have accomplished those tasks. Getting on the roof, climbing a ladder, lifting the hatch. I don't see a problem with that. If anything, my mind goes, it might have actually been easier for her to accomplish those things in the throes of a psychotic break. Right? Because
I can see that,
a person in their right mind, they would be nervous from the heights of climbing a ladder without any kind of safety equipment that had you high up in the air on a super high building, climbing up the fire escape. Whereas if you're not in your right mind, those dangers might not be present in your cognition. Mm-hmm. So it might have been easier for her to execute those tasks. But I definitely found, for the substance she was on and historical kind of evidence and studies around people when they're in the throes of a psychotic break, they can absolutely perform complex tasks. Drive a car, climb stairs, or climb a ladder, or whatever, what have you, right? Yeah. It's definitely doable. But if you're actively hallucinating, it feels like there's a lot of puzzle pieces that have to fall perfectly in line, that you end up in that circumstance in the first place. They end up following in this water tank.
Yeah.
But I wonder if I've got that. I might have to dig for a minute here, but I did find something about one of the medications and there being a link to being drawn to water.
Interesting.
Being drawn to sources to water. I can't remember. Oh, where was that? Okay, I don't want to stop our flow to go dig that up, but I did come across something where there was a connection to being drawn to water. I can't remember if it was something about bipolar disorder itself or one of the medications.
Something for the audience to investigate.
If I find it as we go, I'll slip it in. But yeah.
Anyway, so there's, again, this case is just riddled with conflicting reports and just lots of questions. I mean, even the surveillance footage, the famous or infamous surveillance footage, the timestamp has been kind of garbled and blurred out of that surveillance footage.
There's a missing minute.
But people have looked at it and said this footage has been edited.
Yeah.
Not only can you see, I mean, the timestamp is all garbled, but you can see the pixels moving. And people have said portions of this footage have been slowed down.
Yeah.
You can tell, and portions of this footage have been sped up. For what purpose, we don't know. People have said there's also been cuts made to this footage.
Yeah.
Because she does wander out of frame just a few times in that footage.
Yeah.
Where cuts could have potentially been made. What do those cuts hide? Another person, perhaps? For what purpose were those cuts made? Who knows? Now, and who would have made those alterations to the footage? Was it the hotel or was it the LAPD?
Right.
Now, you
think the LAPD would have been able to identify in examining the case if the footage had been altered?
Yeah. Now, under deposition, the LAPD investigator said, "We did not alter this footage. I cannot speak to if it's been altered or how it's been altered, but I can tell you we did not alter it. The footage that you see all over the internet, that is the same footage I initially saw."
Yeah.
Again, the LAPD is not monolithic.
Yeah.
He might be lying, or it might have been edited by someone else and he didn't know, or the hotel might have edited it, but people have determined that edits have been made to this
or
footage.
There may have been a motive to not notice, to be willfully ignorant, Yeah. I could not think of a reason what that motive would be, but I don't know. It's odd. It does make me think about the other odd thing that jumped out at me about this is, at the time, the CDC was running a project in the area, doing a study on tuberculosis.
Yeah.
And shortly after this, I believe there was a massive tuberculosis outbreak in the area on Skid Row. And the name of this project just happened to be Lam-Elisa.
Well, Lam-Elisa refers to the test that detects tuberculosis.
Yeah, it's a test.
Yeah. And that name is an acronym for a bunch of things I cannot pronounce.
Yeah, I did have it. Again, I didn't write it.
It's kind of like the tests we all had to do during COVID, the PCR tests.
Very much so, yeah.
Those letters stand for things I cannot pronounce. Yeah. But Lam-Elisa, it's also an acronym, and that's the test they use to detect tuberculosis because there was an outbreak on Skid Row around the time of these events. And this test, there's a huge public health response, and these tests were being deployed. Lam-Elisa. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I found about that is that there was strangely a third-party company connected to this study, conducted, and funded by the CDC, who was operating out of a room in the building, apparently.
Yeah.
Which is extremely odd. Why would you do that? And I saw it kind of was explained away as, well, they do this sometimes, these third parties, instead of having to rent a whole office space, in order to save costs, they'll just operate out of a hotel room because they know they're only going to be there for several weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's a cost-saving measure. But do you know what the annual funding of the CDC is?
I don't have that in my notes.
It's
but
in
I
the
imagine
many billions. It's,
yeah.
I believe, on average, 15 to 16 billion. When's the last time you heard of a government organization like that, of their own accord, taking cost-saving measures?
I think any government agency that's operating out of a hotel room A and a hotel room at the Cecil Hotel B,
and the name of their project
up to anything good.
Yeah, and the name of their project just happens to be the name of the victim.
Yeah, I mean,
is that not incredibly odd?
I could see them. I could see them actually setting up some sort of field office in that building.
Obviously, because the breakout was in the area.
Just due to its proximity to Skid Row.
Yeah.
But still, that's really weird.
It is really weird, right? And again, there's no real direct connect the dots evidence here. And we're supposed to believe that that's just a crazy coincidence. Maybe it is, but I don't know. That one really, that's the one that really kind of made my eyebrow raise and go, what the hell? What the hell, right?
And I mean, that's one of the more in-your-face synchronicities with this case. But there are a few more. They just keep going.
Yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into the weeds. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the movie Dark Water?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, yeah, so that popped up for me as well. Just randomly, I was watching somebody else's cold case kind of investigation and just very briefly mentioned this movie, Dark Water, from 2005, starring Jennifer Connelly.
So there's actually two of them.
Right.
Because there's there was this whole trend in the early 2000s of Hollywood kind of remaking Japanese horror movies.
Yeah, because they're so good.
It was the Ringu, it was remade as The Ring.
Yeah.
Ju-on was remade as The Grudge.
Yeah.
And Dark Water was remade as Dark Water, the American version. And you were texting me earlier in the week, and like, if you have time, watch this movie.
I was like, definitely watch it. It freaked me out, I have to tell you, just because it's one of those cases where the details of that story are eerily similar, almost exact to this case, but it predates this case by nearly a decade. Yeah.
So you watched the American version of this movie. I decided to be different, and I watched the Japanese version. But I mean, the storylines of the movies are pretty much identical. Yeah. So the movie involves this mother and her little girl moving into a new apartment building. The mother's in the middle of a divorce, and she moves into this kind of seedy apartment building with her daughter.
Yeah.
And it's the building in the movie. I mean, I watched the Japanese version. I can't speak to the American version, but the building in the movie becomes almost a character in itself.
Yeah.
It's definitely portrayed as like not a nice place.
Yeah.
It's a rough place, but this is what, this mother can afford.
Yeah.
And throughout the course of the movie, all these odd events start happening in the building, kind of like there's some kind of spirit stalking these two.
Yeah. There's unexplained leaks.
Yeah.
Yeah. The water is foul.
Yeah. And the daughter keeps being kind of drawn or lured up onto the roof near the water tanks. And there's all these water leaks in the building, and the water from the taps is kind of brown or black and foul smelling. And I mean, spoilers for like a very old movie, but this movie kind of culminates with the reveal at the end that they're being haunted by a spirit of a girl that drowned in the rooftop water tank.
Yeah. It was freaky, honestly. It gave me chills watching it. Having spent a good chunk of the week researching this case and then watching the movie, it freaked me out. And it's another one of these cases, just like we've talked before on the show about there being, movies or books or whatever that predate real life events that seem to mirror them.
Yeah.
Like the Lusitania and Titanic one, right? Mm-hmm. Is just one example.
Yeah.
Where a novel is written about, this state-of-the-art ship that,
sinks on its maiden voyage by hitting an iceberg.
Yeah. Written a good decade or more, something like that, I can't remember, before the real life events occurred.
Yeah. But I mean, like, again, we watched different versions of this movie, but I was struck by, even visually, there's a lot of seemingly nods to the Elisa Lam case.
Yeah.
Like, you watch the elevator footage with Elisa Lam, she's wearing like this red hoodie. The little girl in the movie, she's always seen wearing a bright red jacket.
Right.
And
the fact that they even reference in the telling of the story of the movie that there's a camera in the elevator where the building super can see what's going on in the elevator. And it uses that perspective of the camera.
There's a bunch
in the elevator.
of like shots in the movie that almost seem to mirror this exact elevator footage we saw with Elisa Lam.
It was so weird.
And even the names of the characters, not so much in the Japanese version, but in the American version, the two characters, the mother and daughter, the mother's name is Dahlia, or Dahlia, I don't know how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
But also feels like a reference to the Cecil Hotel, because one of the other infamous guests of the Cecil Hotel was Elizabeth Short, also known as the Black Dahlia.
Yeah.
And the daughter's name is Cecilia, which just has the name Cecil built right into it.
Yeah, I caught that as well. Yeah, it's creepy.
Yeah.
It's creepy. And I don't know what to make of that. And it's strange that's a recurring theme you see where these fictional works, again, predate real life events to a high degree of accuracy. Again, just super high strangeness, right?
Do you know, during the filming of the American version of this movie, Jennifer Connelly, while the movie was being filmed, her house flooded. Like all the plumbing started backing up, and her house just flooded while they were filming this movie.
And it made me think that this case, like, we wanted to go into this because it seemed like the perfect kind of moment to do it in a natural progression from our past few episodes. And in that movie, definitely when you watch it, I'm not sure if it's similar to the Japanese version, but definitely utilizes liminality.
Yeah.
In the cinematography of the movie. And they even mentioned brutalism. I can't remember now, but I was watching like a hawk for any kind of reference to Saturn or a black cube.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think I ever found one. I can't quite recall. But it did feel like, we've kind of been on a road that led us right here, right?
Yeah.
And
it's interesting you should mention that, because kind of why I suggested this case, coming off of our story on the back rooms, was another thing that's talked about when people look at this case, and the elevator footage specifically, is a phenomenon called the elevator game. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of an urban legend out of South Korea.
Yeah.
What it is, well, people watch that footage and say it looks like she's playing the elevator game. So what this is it's sort of this ritual you've got to do by yourself. You've got to go onto an elevator. The building has to have at least 10 floors.
Yep.
And you get on the elevator and you hit the buttons: 4th floor, 2nd floor, 6th floor, 2nd floor, 10th floor, 5th floor.
Don't say the numbers. Just now people are going to do it. Disclaimer, this is not advice. Don't try this at home.
Don't actually do it. Now, once you input the sequence of button presses, the elevator door is supposed to open, and a woman dressed in red gets on the elevator with you, and she will ask, "Where are you going?" But you must not speak to her, you must not acknowledge her. You're supposed to ignore her. Then you press the button for the 10th floor, and if the elevator starts going up, the ritual was a success. If it starts going down, you'll exit at the lobby. Do not attempt the ritual again, because you've pissed off the spirits or something. Yeah. Now, if the elevator goes up and you reach the 10th floor, you will enter into something called the other world. Let me describe the other world. It is visually identical to the building you were in, at least at first. Everything is kind of dark and in shadow in the other world.
Yeah.
And the hallways seem to stretch out forever and loop back on themselves like some sort of non-Euclidean. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah. It's like the back room.
Yeah. Any windows that are visible, there's just going to be an ominous blood red glow in the air outside, and the only thing visible outside will be a bright red cross hovering over the horizon. People describe the air feeling thicker in the other world, almost like water, and time ceases to have any meaning in this place. And this place is inhabited by entities, which sound a lot like the entities that inhabit the back rooms.
Right.
Now, you can leave the other world by getting back on the elevator and pressing that exact sequence just in reverse.
Yeah.
Although people, as this urban legend has developed, people have said, "Oh, I've actually done this. I've been to the other world."
Right.
But when I came back
on 4chan.
But when I came back, things were off. Time felt like it was broken. People that I'd known for years no longer remembered me.
Right.
And sometimes I feel like I never actually left the other world. I just progressed to another level of the other world, much like the back rooms.
Right.
And where am I going with this? This often comes up in discussions of Elisa Lam. People watch that footage in the elevator and they say, this looks exactly like the elevator game.
Yeah.
Like she's attempting to input a very specific sequence on the elevator.
Yeah, it is strange. It does seem like she gets in the elevator and she hits a bunch of buttons in a sequence. But it's strange. Nothing happens. The elevator doesn't move. The doors don't close.
Yeah, and again, what does she do after she hits all these buttons? She kind of pokes her head out the elevator like she's checking for something.
Yeah.
And then she looks frustrated when she comes back into the elevator, and then she leans really close to the keypad again and inputs a button combination again.
Yeah.
And then exits again, and that's where she starts doing all these weird things with her hands.
Yeah. And it did make me think, okay, like, well, is she someone that would try something like this? It's basically the South Korean version of like Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, basically.
But, and I don't know that much about her personality, but it is, I thought, worthy of note that she named her blog Ether Fields. And I was like, that's a weird reference. What is that? And it refers to games. Like there's a board game.
Okay.
I think that post was created post her death. Strangely, it's very esoteric and involves like hauntings and spirits and all this. But there was also a video game by the same name. So she could have kind of a proclivity for games like this, right?
Yeah.
It's not outside of the world of, possibility. But there's nothing in her blog posts that specifically speak to that. Did you read any of her blog posts?
No, I didn't get into her blog posts. I couldn't find them.
Oh, well, I read a few of them. I didn't. There's a lot there. I didn't read tons, but it is mostly just her kind of talking about her experience and very candidly about her depression.
Yeah.
And about her struggles in school and her bipolar disorder and all of that. Honestly, I found it hard to stomach reading it.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. And of course the comments are just odd because it's still posted and people still go and regularly comment. I don't know, it seems like a weird kind of perverse way to kind of include yourself into the story by leaving a reply comment after she's dead. I don't know. I
mean, you see that happen with any kind of tragedy that gets enough public attention. People will try to insert themselves into the story.
Yeah. But anyway, really odd stuff. Yeah. Korean elevator game. Yeah. And I mean, she was on the 14th floor. So that's the kind of debunking argument I heard about that when I looked into that is like, well, she was on the 14th floor. She was nowhere near the 10th floor.
Well, I mean, she
was playing that game. She wasn't playing it correctly.
Yeah. That's what it tells you. And I mean, this urban legend, it does kind of give a consequence to playing this game improperly.
Yeah.
In that you become trapped in this other world.
Yeah.
And I mean, what happened to Elisa Lam? She was entrapped.
Yeah. And what is death but another world? Okay. All right. Do we have some other facets to explore here?
Well, I mean, there's so much odd stuff going on here. I was racking my brain trying to come up with some sort of unifying theory.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, because, I mean, we're hardly the first people to explore this case.
Like what's going on here? I mean, honestly, have you ever heard of stone tape theory?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
In that, it kind of a few episodes ago, you were describing the phenomenon of panpsychism.
Yeah.
That, everything is conscious to some degree. Stone tape theory basically says that, kind of paranormal, ghostly phenomenon. They're not necessarily spirits that are haunting an area.
Yeah, they're kind of echoes.
Yeah. Basically, a place can become imprinted with all the trauma, all the horrible things that have happened there.
Yeah.
And it can, in a sense, become a trap that will draw more similar things toward itself.
Yeah. Kind of like the hotel in The Shining.
Yeah. It's
one could argue that hotels are kind of hotspots for that activity, right? How many hauntings do you hear about a hotel? Hotels are kind of traps for hauntings. Maybe that's why.
Especially hotels named Cecil for some reason. I mean, Calgary had its own Cecil Hotel.
Yeah, and
which was built at roughly the same time.
Yeah.
And they have oddly parallel histories. They both kind of became, hives of scum and villainy. I mean, Calgary's Cecil Hotel has been torn down. It was torn down in, 2016?
Something like that, yeah.
But, yeah, it was quite the infamous place, known for, murders, suicides, and crime.
Yeah. Yeah, and you do have to wonder if that all those events don't psychically imprint upon the place itself.
Yeah. And the Cecil kind of feels like that kind of place, like enough bad stuff has happened there. The building itself remembers. And, a girl like Elisa Lam, she's obviously in kind of a vulnerable place in her life.
Yeah.
She's probably going to be especially sensitive to that energy, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, perhaps. I also found, I'm just briefly going to mention this, because we're pretty close on time here, but I did actually come across a potential motive for murder by other residents of the hotel.
Were these the roommates? The in the hostel?
Roommates.
Okay, so we can get into that later. We can get into
no,
that.
No, I don't know if they're roommates, but there was this suggestion or this idea forwarded by other, internet sleuths similar to us, that there's residents in the hotel that are homeless or near homeless, right? There's several guys that live in the hotel or other residents that are basically homeless but kind of permanently reside within the hotel.
Yeah.
And at the time, there was a push to kind of gentrify the area, to clean it up, and to rebrand the hotel and create a more upscale, attractive hotel, which would directly threaten the long-term residency of some of these folks.
Yeah.
These folks residing in the hotel, and that the murder was more or less opportunistic, but throwing her in the water tank, to create this very public reason to create a continued negative impression of the hotel to prevent any of that from going forward, right? It was going to directly threaten the livelihoods of some of these residents. What do you think about that?
I think if that's the case, it worked.
Yeah. But if that was the case, you would think you would find evidence of struggle. You would find injury, right?
Yeah. But I mean, what happens to the Cecil Hotel now? I mean, the hotel was it was closed for renovations in 2017, and when it reopened in 2021, it was no longer a hotel. It's now low-income housing.
Yeah.
And it's been rebranded as Stay on Main.
Yeah.
I don't know what would have happened to the longer-term residents of the hotel when that happened. They probably would have all been kicked out.
Yeah.
But yeah,
there's another connection to the movie Dark Water, is that it's gone from being a hotel, because that would have been a discrepancy, because in the movie it's an apartment complex.
Yeah.
But what's happened to it? Just like you say, it's been repurposed from a hotel to an apartment complex, to low-income housing.
But no, another possible motive for not necessarily murder, but I guess involvement that's been floated. Because when Elisa Lam originally checked into the Cecil, she was put into shared accommodations, like hostel-style accommodations.
I see.
With,
Okay.
with a bunch of roommates. And
I didn't realize that.
She it was like on her second day of her stay, the hotel management actually moved her into her own single room
Because she was acting so strange.
Yeah, and
Yes.
it wasn't
Right.
really clear why until the depositions for the civil case came out, and the hotel manager said, well, these roommates were complaining about her just odd behavior, like she was demanding a password to enter the room. She was leaving sticky notes with just bizarre messages on people's beds, and there were complaints she was having like these crazy outbursts in the lobby,
Right.
just screaming at people, being like, "Don't mess with me, I'm effing crazy."
Right.
So she was kind of
Well, and that would lend to the conclusion that she was in the throes of some kind of psychotic break.
Yeah. So the reason that's kind of been floated as pointing to motive to someone, I mean, obviously she's acting this way. She might have made some enemies. Maybe not with the intent to murder her, but maybe mess with her.
Yeah.
Maybe get back at her. So maybe she got onto the roof and climbed into the water tank by herself, but was she kind of coaxed there or coerced there by someone who was trying to mess with her?
Yeah.
Someone that was trying to get back at her for something?
Yeah. Maybe. But again, no direct evidence to support that.
Yeah. But it,
Other than the circumstance of her sharing that space with those people and acting that way, right?
yeah. But I mean, with this case, you've got the official narrative, accidental drowning, but everything that surrounds that is still such a mystery. You know, I was listening to another podcast on this subject, the prosecutors. I listened to them quite a bit, like great podcast, great true crime podcast. It's hosted by two lawyers. So they were definitely looking at this case through that lens. Mm-hmm. And just amongst themselves, they couldn't even come to kind of a consensus of, like, was anyone else involved in this? One of them seemed to think, no, she did this on her own. She was clearly having a psychotic break. And the other host kind of said, I lean more towards someone else was involved here.
Right.
Maybe not with the intent to kill, but someone might have coerced her or coaxed her into doing what she did.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, we're at a really great time. Maybe it's time for us to come to our own conclusions.
Yeah. There is
what do you... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There's just like one other thing I want to just briefly mention as...
Oh, right. Okay,
kind of,
yeah, go
kind
ahead.
of part of the whole synchronicity or cosmic alchemy, whatever you want to call it, with this case. Because this is not the first case like this. There was another case about 5 years prior in Taiwan, which very eerily mirrors this case. This happened in a building called the Lin Financial Center, and this mother, age 37, her name was Liu Hujan, and her 4-year-old daughter, not named in official sources, they enter this building and they get on an elevator, and there's this weird CCTV footage of them on the elevator, just behaving oddly, and
Right.
they take off their coats, they take off their shoes. They leave them kind of stacked neatly in one of the corners of the elevator. They exit the elevator, and they're never seen again. That footage is the last they're ever seen. It was initially thought that this mother and her daughter had jumped off the roof.
Right. But if they jumped
no
off the
body was
roof,
ever found.
Yeah, you'd think they'd figure that out pretty quick.
And the water tanks were searched. It's all right, sweetie. Puppy dog.
Sorry, yeah, she's starting to lose patience.
Yeah. The water tanks were searched. The sewage systems were searched. Everything was searched. They have never been found to this day. And this was in 2008. Now, it's suspected that this mother was trying to flee from her husband, who's named Mr. Zhang, who's suspected to have been abusive. And
Right.
it was often thought that he knew more in this case than he was letting on. He was a person of interest, but they had nothing on him.
Yeah.
So Mr. Zhang, he actually died in 2023. Interestingly enough, you know how he died? he died by falling from a rooftop water tank he was working on.
Huh. Interesting.
What's going on with this case?
Yeah, it's bizarre.
I have no idea.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. Yeah. Although I'm sure if you dug deeply enough, you could find multiple cases where it's just similar incidences around rooftop water tanks.
Yeah.
But, anyway, back to this case. I think we should wrap it up because, our co-host here is starting to get impatient. She's been very good this episode. By the way, I think we've officially decided on a name. I think I told you a little while ago. I wasn't sold on bumper.
Yeah.
So we've been debating a lot. So I think we've landed on Xena.
Oh, cool.
Right? What do you think about that? She's all teeth.
Yeah.
Very bitey. She's teething. So, but anyway, she's starting to get impatient with us. So let's wrap it up just quickly. Ultimate conclusions. What after all of this, after we've unpacked everything, what do you think?
Honestly, I think something's going on, some sort of weird synchronicity. But I mean, despite whatever synchronicity or cosmic alchemy or whatever you think is going on with this case, whatever veil is thinning or whatever spirits are encroaching or whatever's happening, Elisa Lam, why Elisa Lam? In that she was in a vulnerable place.
Yeah.
She was in a vulnerable place, and she was definitely throwing out signs to everyone around her in that hotel that something was going wrong.
Yeah.
And what happened was, what does the hotel do? What did the people around her do? They kind of just shoved her aside.
Yeah.
They did. No one reached out to her. No one checked on her. They just kind of put her aside. I mean, it's kind of a microcosm of the whole story of Skid Row.
Yeah.
That whole neighborhood is just a dumping ground for the people society doesn't want, society can't be bothered with. And I think...
Lost souls.
Yeah. So regardless of whatever paranormal is or esoteric is happening here, I think the lesson learned has to be don't ignore people that are struggling like this.
Yeah.
And if you are someone who's struggling like this, reach out to people.
Yeah.
They're there. They might be hard to find, but they are there. People that want to help.
Yeah. Ultimately, where I came to it is, I think 100% the official kind of narrative of the coroner that she was mentally ill. She was suffering a psychotic break, and she accidentally drowned. I think that's the simplest. That's Occam's razor.
Yeah.
That fits everything that we know factually happened. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what happened. All the high strangeness that surrounds it, I don't know. That maybe, to me, if that says anything, is that there was more going on in kind of the unseen aspect of our world that underlies everything.
Yeah.
Right? It's like when we talk about the Dyatlov Pass.
Yeah.
It's almost like areas have a history.
And myths have power.
And myths have power, and things have a way of finding a way to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, so we know, like I said with the Dyatlov group, we know, there's theories as to what happened, but why?
Yeah.
Those could be two very different things.
How did these crazy elements come to confluence in this event where people died? And I feel like this is another one of those cases where on a spiritual level there was something more going on. And like you say, there was obvious signs that she was vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And that's how people end up falling victim in those circumstances, I think, where they don't have the internal strength at that time to combat those forces in the world.
Yeah.
But a lot of strangeness. Really interesting case. I'm glad we covered it. I'm glad we dug into it because it's really fascinating. It's dark, but it's fascinating stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. I think we're going to leave it there. I think it looks like I am's going to wrangle Xena there and take her out for a walk. And the weather's lovely. I hope everyone has a great evening, and we'll see you next week.
Good night.
Good night.